Hi, my name is Chase, and when I saw your video, I was really inspired to make my own video responding to this. I have not rehearsed this, so bear with me. I just really had to put that out there that, you know, for the longest time I was a really big advocate on eating disorders and, supporting those who suffer. And I kind of quit for a while because, it was bringing me down and, I just didn't want to be there talking about eating disorders and such. But when I saw your video, I was just really astonished that actually someone you know, saw it from my point of view as well. Eating disorders are actual disorders, and I am sure there are people out there who, really do want to make that a huge part of their life, like actually have an eating disorder. But from being a recovered anorexic, I will say this, that, all throughout my time, I never wanted an eating disorder. I was an overweight child, I just gradually got into the patterns, and before I knew it, I was diagnosed with anorexia. And, when you have the mindset of an eating disorder, excuse me, I stumbled, as I said, I haven't rehearsed this. When you are in the mindset of an eating disordered person, you can't just say, I'm going to quit. I mean, you can, but it does take a lot of steps. It's not that easy. And usually by the time you notice that there is a problem, you can't just go back and fix it right away. It takes therapy, hospitalization, depending on how severe you are. A lot of people have gotten the response that, I don't really believe in mental disorders. It's all in the mind. You can gradually, fix yourself. But, to an extent, I do believe that, you are in control of yourself. But what a lot of people don't understand is when you develop an eating disorder, you aren't in control of yourself because you have given yourself up to that eating disorder. It's almost like there's another person in your mind. And I know that sounds like schizophrenia or something, like, excuse me, but, it's the only way I can really explain it, is that you have, like, another voice in your mind saying, oh, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do this, don't eat, because, you won't be good enough. And that sounds completely ridiculous because your heart's telling you, no, you are good enough, no, you have to stop. And you really want to follow your heart, but that voice in your mind just won't, like, minimize. It's just there all the time. And I just don't think people sympathize enough with that. People don't see from the anorexic's point of view. They see from the media's point of view that, people are starving themselves to, get in the bikini body or something. But that's not really how it goes, Going through excuse me, I'm talking really fast. Going through 3 years of therapy, I learned, at the time it was like, I had an eating disorder, so I couldn't really understand it myself. But, looking back now, it's like, I didn't want to be thin. That's not why I had an eating disorder. That's not what eating disorders are all about. Of course they start off that way, but they don't start off as, I'm going to starve myself. They don't even start off as conscious. You're just like, diet. But they end up being about perfection. I want this to be perfect. I want this to be perfect. And I can't control these other things in my life, but I can control this, and I will control this. That is what an eating disorder is about. And by the time I did figure out that I had an eating disorder, it took me a good year to recover. And yes, I did want to recover. But it's like alcoholism. It's like, being addicted to drugs. Anything. It's an addiction. What it is. And, people say awful things about, alcoholics and awful things about drug addicts. And yes, it's like, people say they got themselves in that situation, now they have to get them out. And it's kind of the same with anorexics, but I have to say it's different at the same time. Because it's like, yeah, you did get yourself in that situation, but there's nothing wrong with the diet. You're just someone who went a little far with it. I can tell you from experience, it's never intentional. I mean, there are people out there who obviously want it, like I mentioned, and I'm sorry, I know there are people referring to pro-ana, pro-mia as like the support system, and maybe it is, but what I've found of it, it's not. Like, I mean, those are people who go out there who are desperate to lose weight, who want an eating disorder, and I have no idea why. And I'm not saying all the sites that refer to themselves as pro-ana are like that, but a lot of them are. I can see where people would get that misinterpretation. you know, because that's what the media throws out there. That's what we see, but we don't see the individual's mind and how they feel. We just see what is on TV and what we see in magazines and on the internet, being pro-Anna, inspiration. We, you know, but if people like sat in on like a support group and actually listened to these people who were suffering from these awful disorders, they would understand or maybe get a glimpse of how these people feel. I don't know. But I really, really, really don't want to ramble too much. I know I've rambled for like 5 minutes and 30 seconds, but I really just wanted to say thank you so much for making that video. My phone. And that I really respect you for that. I'm subscribing to you. You got your point across. You didn't stumble like me, but excuse me for that. As I said, this wasn't rehearsed. And just thank you for getting your point across. Bye.